Let me tell you a story. My name is Emma, and last summer I decided to visit my best friend in Canada. Have you ever dreamed of traveling to a new country but felt worried about using English at the airport? Imagine this. You arrive at a big, busy airport and need to find your way. You have questions to ask, forms to fill, and announcements to understand. Sounds stressful? Don't worry. Today, I'm going to take you with me on a complete airport journey, step by step, using real English you can use in any country. Whether you want to travel for fun, for work, or to visit family, this video will help boost your confidence at every stage, from booking a ticket to finding your suitcase at arrival. Are you ready? Let's start our journey. Part 1. Before going to the airport. It was my first big trip alone, so I needed to be completely ready. The first thing I did was book my flight. I spent some time comparing ticket prices online and finally chose a flight with a good departure time. During this process, I learned 2 important words. Departures, this is when and where planes leave, and arrivals, this is when and where planes come in. These small details helped me feel more prepared for my journey. Booking a flight. I wanted to fly from Rome to Toronto. When I was booking my ticket, the website asked me to choose 2 dates, my departure date and my return date. My departure date was June 15th. Let me explain something important. The word departure means when you leave a place. The word arrival means when you get to your destination. When I was looking at the flights, I saw 2 types of options. One was a direct flight, and the other was a connecting flight. A direct flight is simple. It takes you straight to your destination without stopping. A connecting flight is a little different. With a connecting flight, you stop in another city, wait for some time, and then take another plane to continue your journey. The time you spend waiting in the other city is called a layover or stopover. For my trip, I decided to choose a connecting flight. My flight from Rome to Toronto had a layover in Paris. This meant I had to wait 3 hours at the airport in Paris before I could board my second flight. It was a bit of extra time, but that's how connecting flights work. Choosing flight class. When I was booking my flight, I had another choice to make. There were different classes to pick from: economy class, business class, and first class. Let me explain them to you. Economy class is the cheapest option, and it's also the most common one. Business class is more expensive, but it's more comfortable too. First class is the most expensive option, and it offers amazing service. I decided to choose economy class. To be honest, I wanted to save money for shopping in Toronto. But I should mention that business class and first class have some nice advantages. For example, they give you more space, better food, and priority boarding. Priority boarding means you can get on the plane earlier than other passengers. Still, for me, economy class was the best choice this time. Check your flight and packing. Here's a helpful tip. Always check your flight before your departure day. Sometimes the time of the flight can change, or the flight might be delayed. I called my airline to confirm my flight. This is how the conversation went. "Hello, I'd like to confirm my flight for tomorrow." "Of course. May I have your ticket number?" It's 445233. Thank you. Your flight is scheduled to depart at 10 a.m. from Rome. Please arrive at the airport at least 3 hours before your flight. It's important to arrive early to avoid any problems. Also, don't forget to pack your luggage carefully. There are some things you should never put in your suitcase. For example, sharp objects, large amounts of liquids, and extra batteries are often not allowed. Make sure to follow these rules to have a smooth trip. Packing for the plane. I packed one big suitcase to check in. This is the bag that goes in the airplane's storage area. I also packed a small bag called a carry-on. This one stays with me on the plane. I put important things in it: my passport, a change of clothes, some snacks, and my phone charger. It's always good to have these items close by during the flight. By the way, can you tell me where you'd like to travel? Would you choose economy class, business class, or first class? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about your travel plans. Part 2, at the airport, checking in and security. The big day finally arrived. I called a taxi to take me to the airport. When the driver asked, "Where to?" I replied, "To the departures, please." I was so excited, but also a little nervous. Arriving at the airport. When I got to the airport, the first thing I did was look for a big sign that said departures. Airports have many signs in English, so it's important to pay attention. I grabbed my suitcase, thanked the taxi driver, and walked through the automatic sliding doors. Inside the airport, it was busy. There were lots of people everywhere. I saw long lines, big screens showing departure times, and many counters for different airlines. It felt a bit overwhelming at first, but I knew I just had to stay calm and follow the signs. Check-in counter. I walked to the check-in counter for my airline. A friendly staff member greeted me. "Good morning," he said. "Where are you flying to?" "Toronto," I replied. "May I see your passport and ticket?" he asked. Let me explain a few important words here. Check-in means registering yourself and your luggage. Your passport is your travel ID, and your boarding pass is the ticket that lets you get on the plane. I handed over my passport and ticket. The staff member asked, "How many bags are you checking in?" "Just one," I said. He pointed to a scale for weighing bags and said, "Please place your luggage on the scale." My suitcase weighed 19 kilos, which was good because the limit was 23 kilos. Choosing your seat. Next, he asked, "Would you like a window seat or an aisle seat?" Let me explain the difference. A window seat is next to the window. It's perfect if you want to look outside and enjoy the view. An aisle seat is next to the aisle, which is the path between the seats. It's better if you want to stretch your legs or walk around easily. I chose a window seat because I wanted to see the clouds during the flight. The staff member gave me my boarding pass and said, "Your flight will leave from gate B12. Boarding begins at 9:15. Have a nice flight." I felt ready for the next step of my journey. Security check. After finishing check-in, I went to the security check area. I followed the other passengers and stood in a line. The security officer gave instructions. "Please put your bags on the conveyor belt. Remove laptops, liquids, and large electronics from your carry-on and place them in a tray. I took my laptop out of my bag and also removed a small bottle of water. Unfortunately, I had to throw the water away because liquids aren't allowed through security. I placed my jacket and both bags on the belt. Then I walked through a metal detector and waited for everything to be checked. The officer looked at me and asked, "Do you have coins or keys in your pockets?" I quickly checked my pockets. Oops! I still had my keys. "Sorry," I said, and I put them in the tray. Passing customs, if international. Since I was traveling internationally, I had to go through customs after security. The customs officer asked me a few questions. "What is the purpose of your visit?" "Tourism. Visiting a friend," I replied. "How long will you stay?" 2 weeks, I answered. "Enjoy your trip," he said with a smile, and he stamped my passport. Finding the gate. Next, I checked the screens to find my gate. I looked at my boarding pass to see the gate number. If you ever feel lost, don't worry. You can always ask someone for help. For example, you can say, "Excuse me, where is gate B12? The staff at the airport are usually very friendly and happy to guide you. By the way, have you ever checked in by yourself? Write yes or not yet in the comments below. I'd love to know about your travel experiences. Art 3. Boarding and on the plane. After passing through security and customs, I finally found my gate. There were shops and cafes nearby, so I bought some water and a snack to take with me. Soon the loudspeaker announced, "Flight 2420 to Toronto is now boarding at gate B12. Please have your boarding pass and passport ready." Boarding the airplane. I walked to the gate, joined the line, and showed my boarding pass and passport to the staff. They smiled and said, "Have a great trip." "Thank you," I replied with a smile. I walked through the boarding bridge, a tunnel that connects the gate to the plane, and stepped inside the airplane. A flight attendant in a bright uniform greeted me warmly. "Welcome aboard. You're in seat 14A on the left by the window." I found my seat and put my carry-on bag in the overhead compartment above me. Then I sat down and buckled my seatbelt. Next to me was an elderly woman who smiled and asked, "First time to Canada?" Before I could answer, the flight attendant came by to check that everyone's seatbelt was fastened. I felt excited and a little nervous as the plane prepared to take off. In-flight announcements. After everyone was settled, the captain's voice came over the speakers. "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Flight 2420 to Toronto. We will take off shortly. Please pay attention to the safety demonstration." Safety demonstration. The flight attendants stood in the aisle and began the safety demonstration. They showed us how to fasten and unfasten our seatbelts. Then they pointed out the nearest exits and explained how to use the oxygen mask and life vest. It's always a good idea to watch the safety demonstration carefully. Even though they repeat it on every flight, it's important to know what to do in case of an emergency. I paid close attention just to be safe. Takeoff and flight. The plane began to move, and I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. Then we took off, and soon we were flying above the clouds. It was beautiful. After about an hour, the flight attendants came around with food and drinks. One of them asked me, "Would you like chicken with rice or pasta?" "Chicken with rice, please," I replied. "And to drink?" "A cup of tea, please." I enjoyed my meal, watched a movie, and read a book. At one point, the plane shook a little bit. This is called turbulence. Don't worry, turbulence is completely normal, and planes are built to handle it. Restrooms and stretching. At some point, I needed to use the restroom. If you need to ask where it is, you can say, "Excuse me, where is the toilet?" The restroom, also called the lavatory, is small but has everything you need. Afterward, I stretched my legs by walking up and down the aisle. I also looked out the window at the view and listened to music to relax. Landing. Finally, the captain's voice came over the speakers. "We are preparing to land in Toronto. Please fasten your seat belt and put your seat in the upright position." My heart started beating faster. I was almost there. The plane landed smoothly and I felt a rush of excitement. Toronto was waiting for me. If you like real, simple English conversations and travel stories like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for more lessons every day. Part 4. Arrival and Baggage Claim. Leaving the aircraft. After the plane came to a stop, I waited patiently for the seatbelt sign to turn off. Once it did, I stood up and took my carry-on from the overhead compartment. I joined the line of passengers moving through the narrow aisle toward the airplane door. As I passed by, the flight attendant smiled and said, "Have a great day." Their words made me feel welcome as I stepped off the plane. Immigration, passport control. Since I was arriving in another country, I had to go through immigration, also called passport control. I joined the line and waited for my turn. When I reached the counter, the officer checked my passport and asked me a few questions. "What is your purpose of visit?" "Tourism," I replied. "Where will you stay?" "At my friend's house," I answered. He nodded, stamped my passport with a big official sound, and handed it back to me. I was one step closer to officially entering the country. Baggage claim. After finishing passport control, I followed the signs to the baggage claim area. There, I saw big conveyor belts with suitcases moving around in circles. I looked at the digital screen to find my flight number and then kept my eyes on the belt until I spotted my blue suitcase. Once I saw it, I grabbed it and double-checked the tag to make sure it was mine. If your bag is missing, don't worry. Look for the lost baggage counter and ask the staff for help. They are there to assist you. Customs, if needed. In some countries, you need to pass through customs again. Here, you might be asked to declare, meaning say out loud, if you're carrying anything special. This could include large amounts of money, food, or expensive electronics. Most of the time, though, you just walk through without any problems. It's always good to check the rules of the country you're visiting beforehand, just to be safe. Exiting the airport. Finally, I walked outside to the arrivals area. If someone is picking you up, this is where you can look for them. If not, you can choose other options like taking a taxi, bus, or ordering an Uber. I called my friend. who was waiting for me with a big smile. "Welcome to Canada, Emma," she shouted. I felt so proud of myself. I had traveled to another country and used real English at every step of the journey. It was an amazing feeling, and I knew this trip was just the beginning of many more adventures to come. Before you go, if you've watched all the way to the end, congratulations, you are now ready to travel confidently in English. If you enjoyed this story and found it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for new English stories every week, and share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Your support means a lot and helps me create more useful content for English learners like you. Safe travels, and I'll see you in the next lesson.